Are the long-term national visions engaging the youth? Whether it's saying, okay, well, the young people have an opportunity to play in this arena, and how are we making sure that that actually happens? To join us for this conversation, the Member of County Assembly for the Woodley Kenyatta Golf Course Ward is the Honourable Davidson Ngibuini, otherwise known as DNG. A very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Karibu
Thank
sana.
you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
How are you doing?
Awesome.
Yes?
Yes.
Awesome is good. We're going to get into this conversation this morning to then be able to understand, okay, so from your point of view, also as a young legislator, how we're looking into the future for the progression of the country and whether it is actually involving young people or whether there is a trust deficit. We'll talk. But before we do that, Dennis is going to share today's proverb. He'll tell you where that's from. We'd love to get your interpretation.
Okay. So today, in a country whose capital is Nouakchott, by any chance you know it?
Capital is?
Nouakchott.
Nouakchott.
Yes.
No, man.
Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
What?
Right, yeah. And one thing about Mauritania is it is a rich country. They talk about gold, copper, gypsum, phosphate, and iron ore. And the iron ore is important, especially for the country, because their train, 2 kilometers long and heaviest in the continent, is called the iron ore train because of the work it does in transporting the resources that they do have. But the proverb that we get from them as well this morning says, "The rat that follows the scent of roasted meat into the trap cannot blame the cage of wickedness." The rat that follows the scent of roasted meat into the trap cannot blame the cage of wickedness. How would you interpret it?
Hey, we have to be careful when you're following the scent of roasted meat. But if you're a rat and you need to eat meat, then what do? Because you must eat meat. So if the roasted scent is what is leading you to that cage, then perhaps you don't eat roasted meat. You can eat boiled or stir-fried.
Change your palate.
How's that for an interpretation?
Change your palate.
I don't know.
You change your palate.
The folks who beheaded Marie Antoinette might have something else to say
The guys of
about
bread and
that.
cake.
The guys of bread and cake. You can't get boiled meat to eat stir fry. Okay, dear.
Yeah.
All right. Even as we get into the conversation and just then to be able to understand, is there a trust deficit in Kenya at the moment? And if we look specifically at young people, whether they be current leaders or would-be leaders, because what we're saying now is that if you're looking for proper governance leadership, then you have to populate the spaces whereby there is an opportunity to lead. Offer up yourself, essentially, is what people are being told.
Correct.
But is there a trust deficit for people to say, well, if I'm going to get into this, how am I sure that I will actually then be given an opportunity to do it right?
It's a loaded question. I think trust deficit does exist. How do you get an opportunity to do it? You're fighting against a system that has been there for donkey years. Look at me, I'm a young legislator taking on the bull by the horns, fighting against my own governor's incompetence and non-performance and non-delivery of services. I seem to be alone in that ring in an assembly that has 124 elected members, whether elected by the ballot or elected via special elect or nominated by the party. So it's not easy. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of courage. You go against the terrain, against the grain. You ruffle feathers that perhaps you shouldn't be ruffling in their perspective. But that is the job. Because if we sit here and say we want a better country, that we want better services for our people, that we want better utilization of the resources that are provided through the taxes and levies and permits and rates that our people pay, then something must be done differently. That is it. And you see, for young people, these opportunities are not given. There's the perspective that we should be given because we are young. No. Youth is not a disability. It's not.
It's not a special condition.
Not a special condition.
Okay.
I mean,
you have to take it. Power is taken. It's not given.
you look at it and you look at even the National Assembly or pretty much the political class as we sit right now, and it is considered to be relatively young. Like the age is set at around 49, But that notwithstanding, you look at how the political class has been moving, their legislators have been moving, and one asks the question, at what point did that trust that was given by especially the young people, especially the current government that we're speaking about, forget the people that put them in, that today guys are just like, no. They're not doing anything.
There's a serious issue. If you look at the Gen Z demonstrations, the issue they took with their legislators specifically was that the legislators didn't listen to their views. And you see, we talk about public participation. We say that for you to be able to air your voice and to air your grievances, you should participate. But public participation, in my opinion, is not just going to a forum in a town hall or in a social hall somewhere in a sub-county and saying, I don't want this finance bill. It also, the sentiments that we are hearing on social media, it's called social listening. You should listen to that. If your constituents are sending you a message on WhatsApp saying, we don't want this finance bill for this reason, that reason, you should listen to that. I think that the trust deficit you're talking about emanated from there. Because if you elect a member of parliament to go to the National Assembly to represent you, and you tell them, I don't want this finance bill because of A, B, C, D, and they go against your wishes and pass that finance bill, obviously you will lose trust. And that's a thing where the kind of leaders we are choosing is the issue. And now we have an opportunity to make it right in 2027, right? That's what young people are saying. But if you look at where we are going with this conversation, making it right means voting out an entire political party, replacing it with a new political party. So what happens in these wave elections is that you don't take time to consider each elective position for what it is. You see, you have 6 ballot papers.
Right.
You have the president, the governor, the women rep, the senator, the member of National Assembly, and the member of County Assembly. Everything we're talking about here is at national level.
Yeah.
That's only the presidency. What about the 5 seats? The rest of them?
What about the very important member of the County Assembly?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, when you say we're going with 1 term or 2 term, that is at national level. What about this MP you're talking about, the member of National Assembly who voted for the finance bill against the wishes of his or her electorate? That's another ballot paper. Are we going to now go the wave so that now we have a kingpin at the top who controls the parliament the same way it's being controlled at the moment? So we are removing these monkeys from this forest, withdrawing these ones, and replacing them with a fresh bunch who are wearing a different colored jersey. Do you understand? It's the wrong thing to do. What Wananchi need to do, if we are serious about change and if we are serious about progressing our country towards the right direction, as we look at 2060, we need to look at each elective position and then gauge every aspirant in terms of merit. Who is this person? What is this person about? What is their manifesto? And how do they anticipate to implement their manifesto so that the manifesto is not just hair? We want to see how are you going to sustain, how are you going to finance. When you tell us, like Sakaja now, he's saying he's going to do a railway line underneath this city from CBD to his lands. Great idea. How will you do it? Because we have sewage that is out of control. That if it rains kidogo, the storm water gets into the sewer line and pumps up raw feces onto our streets, into people's houses. We have storm water that is out of control such that it floods and people actually die in the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. And you're telling me you want your second term. That's what we're dealing with.
How is the partnership between the Nairobi County and the national government coming along? The 80 billion?
80 billion.
80 billion.
How is that coming along?
So that's our cooperative agreement, and it's coming along very well. Do you know why? Everything you see in this city from a developmental perspective at this moment, if you go to CBD, towards Mombasa Road, or coming from Mombasa Road, because this is where your office is, going back to the CBD, you will see the roundabouts have been expanded. You will see the drainages are being dug up, and infrastructure development is taking place. All that is national government.
Well,
and why I say it's going well is
that was happening before everybody ponied up this 80 billion shillings for this new thing.
So road rehabilitation and improvement is an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
But now we are getting specific resources for Nairobi and for our 85 wards. Why that's a big thing for us is because the county government of Nairobi was not doing that. In the financial year 2025-2026, that ended June 30th of this year, the entire 1 year, the governor did not tender a single ward development project.
And you, the members of the
Yet-
county assembly, had approved budgets for
2
those
billion.
things.
2 billion.
Billion.
So where did the money go, and what
He
happened?
needs to tell us. When we came from recess, after the lapse of the financial year, I tabled a request on the floor of the assembly called a request for a utilization report, where I'm challenging the chairman for Finance, Budget and Appropriations Committee to inquire and report on the money that was collected. The 15.4 billion shillings that the governor said we have collected, on source revenue,
yeah.
and also the exchequer remittance that comes from Treasury every month, around the 15th of every month, about 1.5 billion. Where is it going? Because if you say we have collected 15.4 billion, yet you've not tendered a single ward development program, and these are the programs where you see equitable distribution of resources in each of the 85 wards that go into infrastructure, things like drainage, stormwater drainage, road rehabilitation in our wards. Wachana hii you are seeing CBD, because that one is where the governor is concerned about. The rest of the 84 wards, because CBD is one ward out of the 85, the rest of the 84 are rotting. So where's the money? And yet, if we've collected the 15.4 billion, why do we have 61 billion shillings as pending bills?
So beyond asking where the money is or where the money has gone, and I hope you get a response.
Yes, I'm going to push for a response.
How is it a good thing, this
For
corporate
national
agreement?
government. So-
Because
Yes.
once we say it's a good thing, then we are cementing pilferage. Already we are saying money had been allocated by the county for development.
Yes.
And then the national government comes and pumps in more money, 80 billion, on the same project that had been allocated resources, but they were not implemented. Are we not cementing corruption here?
So it's a good question. So we're in a catch-22 because you remember, and you saw me on the front line
Right.
pushing for the impeachment of the governor. It was not personal. It's because we know he's incompetent. We know that Governor Sakaja is unable to govern this city. He does not care about infrastructure development. He does not care about our ward development programs. He does not care about paying suppliers, contractors, and service providers in this city. He only cares about himself and his stomach.
You know,
And the stomach of the people around him, his cronies, who misadvise him to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are right that we are cementing the pilferage and the incompetence. But what do we do? Because when we went to impeach him, the intervention was done by the president and by the late Raila Amolo Odinga.
Right.
The majority side of the assembly and the minority side. We could not take on a head of state. It's not possible. And Azimi or MCA cannot speak against Raila. Could not. Let's be honest. We must be honest with ourselves and we must be pragmatic. Art of War by Sun Tzu says you must see how you'll achieve victory if you start a battle. So we could not win it. So now where are we? We are where we are because we could not impeach the guy. He had 2 aces of spades.
Yes.
He had a great hand. He had Baba and he had Ruto here.
Yes.
And he knew that if it comes to the impeachment, he'll unleash these 2 cards. And these 2 cards will quite a storm. And that's exactly what happened. Luckily for us, out of that pushback, because I was seconding that welfare agenda at State House, and I remember addressing the head of state and I told him these issues we're raising about Governor Sakaja are not personal. They are very serious administrative issues where this guy simply refused to perform. And out of that is how the cooperation agreement was born. And the president said that he would settle Nairobi's issues or sort out Nairobi's issues from his end using his own budget. So the money is not coming to the county government. It does not come to our account. Because if it came, it would be eaten like the rest. So all the procurement for all these roads, like now, apart from what you're seeing in CBD, there's also 1 kilometer of roads going to each and every ward. And these are projects that have been initiated and submitted by the area MCAs. We have a lighting program. You'll notice, lights are being imported from China. These are solar lights, so street lights, lanterns, floodlights, the cables, the poles and everything. You will not believe that even waste, garbage now is being collected by national government. That Nairobi County cannot collect its own trash.
Well, DNG, while these are good deliverables to the residents of Nairobi
that's
County,
what people want.
are you also appreciating that they're stemming from an illegality? Because the president should not be doing that. The national government should not be executing that mandate.
Yes.
If we were a law-abiding country, the president ought to have gotten out of the way and let you, the county assembly deal with the governance issues and administrative issues you are having at the county level.
We should have.
If it is impeachment, you should have dealt it on merit.
Yes.
Do you agree that it is stemming from illegality?
I agree 100%. I was one of those who appended my signature, and I was on the front end of mobilizing my colleagues to do the same. Yes.
Because this is what now continues to increase the trust deficit. You mentioned very well, you are active in the Nairobi County Assembly. You are perceived to be of a dissenting voice because you're speaking of what is true according to the law. You're speaking truth to power, and you're saying we can do better with our taxes. The tax justice you're calling for. There should be competence and accountability with everybody who is on that floor to make sure that we are representing the people from all the 85 wards. Now, when you face such backlash, when there is a lot of pushback, even from your own fellow MCAs who do not seem to agree with you, and yet we have less than a year to go, where are we heading? Because what turns out is that mostly people like yourself, they tend to be sacrificed politically because you are perceived to be not in agreement with the status quo. How do we flip the mind of the voter to know that when DNG speaks according to the law, that is a law-abiding citizen and it is a worthy representative? Those who are being led by their stomachs just because they are happy to be in proximity of either the governor or the president are the people who should be subjected to the same law and gotten out of these working spaces.
The how is, to respond to that, the how, we need to think about civic education like we're doing this morning. Because this is civic education, this is civic engagement, where we need to speak more to the voter and tell the voter that electing somebody to represent you should not be done the way it has always been done historically in this country. Kenya is over 60 years old. It's from 1963.
Yeah, 63. Going 64.
Yeah. So we've done things in a certain way, and if we want things to be done differently going forward, as we talk about Vision 2060, we need to consider how we elect people, and that's why you see me say we should not vote based on political party. You know that story of 6P. You guys have all participated in this thing. You hear 6P kutoka juu hadi chini. Sisi ni kama ni watu ODM, sisi ni ODM 6P. Kama ni watu UDA, sasa ni DCP. Sasa watu wa DCP 6P. So in that 6P narrative, you elect guys who've hidden behind the party. Kuna wale wa kudandia shughuli. Because there are people who just read the wave. If you know surfing, ama ile kitu ya ilikuwa inaitwa skipping rope. Unangoja ikuje unaingia. Then you get into that story. So umejificha hapo kwa one time because wananchi wamekasirika. Unapenya. So you will end up electing a legislator who means nothing well or good for this, whether it's a ward or a constituency or a county, right? Then that person, you can never hold him or her accountable because he didn't have a plan, he didn't have a vision, or he or she, that is, didn't have a plan, didn't have a vision, didn't have a manifesto, didn't have the drive, doesn't have the courage, doesn't have the grit to survive in City Hall and to take on the powers that be. Then there are guys who now come and vote according to tribe. You go to the ballot paper and you see, haya, mimi nimetoka Rift. So huyu ni Chebet, tick. Tick. You know what I'm trying to say? So that is also another thing we need to tell wananchi. We should not take that direction. So don't vote according to party. Don't vote according to tribe. Resist this euphoria. You know, there's this euphoria of one term versus two term. Hata kama wewe uko na ngori na mtu fulani, ama uko na ngori na system, ama uko na ngori na chama fulani, ama, you know, look at each offering. If this is a ballot paper,
Right.
If these are the members of National Assembly, for example,
God forbid.
whether you whether you are whether you are in this party or not,
Right.
look at each individually, and understand merit by merit, discern who would be the best person to represent me in that assembly, whether it's county, national, whether it's a women representative, Senate, governor, and the head of state.
So, David, what you're saying essentially is that
tuchanganye kidogo.
But because before it's like this whole blanket thing, and nobody was really. So, was the problem that nobody was understanding that the politics does not take away from the policy that essentially is going to change your life? and that you can look at this whole rally and you can see everybody standing, somebody wants to say something, but nobody's actually thinking, if I give David my vote, will he then actually go and make sure that work that needs to be done is done? So the individual was never looked at before.
Yes.
Now,
Never.
what's to move that needle? And if we say that the Kenyan electorate is more woke, young people are saying this is the way the country needs to go. And why do we harp on this? Because a majority of the population is made up of this age demographic, right? So are people looking at the individual today that would now counter this trust deficit? So there's a trust deficit in the leadership.
So people need to look at it. I think we can all agree to this. People need to look at it. We need to move the needle from where it has been to where it needs to be. And how is we? We is the media, fourth estate, yourselves. It's politicians like us to go and drum a positive narrative instead of name calling and insults and personal issues. We are kuna bibi wawili. We are hizo isaidi. Personal vendetta and issues are really are non-consequential. You know what I'm saying? So we all have a role to play.
Yep.
The government, in terms of civic education, because it's a government responsibility, is actually budgets that go into public participation and citizen engagement from national level and from county level. We need to engage wananchi, civil society, CSOs, guys kwa ground, CBOs. Now there is this bunge la mwananchi. But you find when you listen to some of these conversations, they're personal. It is these politicians support us insulting these politicians support us. That is not positive. That is not how we get our country to achieve Vision 2060.
I mean, Dingy, I've followed through some of the things that you've done, and there is one day I saw you write to the Ministry of Energy requesting for
Street
lighting
lights.
up street lights
Yes.
and all that. And I asked myself the question, that is the direction you've decided to go with the national government, and there has to be a role that then the county government as well does play, because your ward is within a county and it should be the governor that is spearheading that conversation to
Yes.
start with. I remember when Toy Market was also up in fire, and you went there and spoke to the people, and one asks the question, at the point when governor comes in to say we will fix this, yet from the word go, what was needed to ensure that there is proper access, say, to toy, there's proper lighting in terms of securities provided. These are things that had never been discussed, because all that the county does is come, collect and go.
Correct.
Collect and go, but there are no services that head back to wananchi. Has the assembly let down Kenyans, Nairobi citizens, when it comes to putting the governor to account? Because you can decide not to pass the finance laws.
Wow, such a loaded question again. Firstly, I agree with you. These are responsibilities that should be carried out by the governor. You see, markets are a devolved function. That's why the county government is the one that collects the cess, the levies and all this. And even the UBP, the Unified Business Permit. So the reason why Sakaja was stoned, if you remember Sakaja being stoned in Toy Market, was because there had been a fire before. That was not the first fire, it was the second fire when he was being stoned. And he had promised several things. One, he had promised that he would give people disaster relief, which is food, stuffs, mabati, iron sheets, and poles za kujenga and misumari. He didn't. Like you tell people you're going to do it and you don't do it.
It didn't happen.
That's trust deficit, as you're discussing this morning. It didn't happen. So the time he came, kwanza people had told me, usikuje na huyo governor, usikuje na huyo governor. They had told me in the morning. But
And that's your ward.
That's my ward. Toy is in my ward. I'm the one who received the governor at Toy Primary. When he was being stoned, I was present. I was there. Hata mimi niliafu kuevacuatiwa mawa ejui wewe ndio governor ama MCA. Unaweza umizwa. Ilikuwa ni noma. His security personnel waliumizwa sana. In fact, mimi ndio nilipeleka wengine pale Hazanati Health Center haraka na nikawapeleka wastichiwe. Mimi. Not yeye, mimi. Na nikalipa. So anyway, we experienced this because of the trust deficit. People do not believe that it's going to change. Even the second time it burnt, the third time, I beg your pardon, which is juicy, from Joseph Kangedere Road to the Toy Gate. We call it Sky Road. He firstly, no one from the county executive showed up, even once. We have gotten zero disaster relief. Do you know how I got to those people chakula? I had to beg some of my friends who owns supermarkets to give me bales of unga and mchele. And they did. And I took it. Yet we have a budget in that assembly, that we passed in that assembly, that has a budget line for disaster relief such as unga, food stuff, so that as you are trying to pick up your business in 1-2 weeks, you have food to eat. It's from a humanitarian perspective. We didn't get even one nail, even one iron sheet. Then you tell me that governor should be supported for a second time. I say no. And I say he must go home, and we will campaign against him vehemently, passionately, and we will ensure he doesn't get re-elected.
That's a question that we want to ask when we come back from this break, Davidson, because you've said something that's very interesting. And I've been of the opinion that the voting pattern for Kenyans in the last 20 or so years, to a large extent, and that's why you see that there's a high percentage of non-returnees, that Kenyans have voted in a way in which they vote somebody out and not necessarily bring in proper leadership. So how do you get that to move? Because you can be angry and you can say, well, this is absolute not rubbish. But how are you going to bring in the person that can the two things happen simultaneously? Where that by your vote, you're essentially taking somebody out, but also bringing in somebody who's actually going to do the job. So let's figure out how to do that when we come back from this break. The Honorable Davidson Ngibuini is with us this morning. We'll continue in a short while.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Not necessarily, or at least for the large part, have not necessarily been thinking who they are bringing in by the vote, but who they are taking out with the vote. How do you flip the script? Because then what we've had is that as a result of that, then you've got poor leadership and you've got poor policy implementation, and that you have retrogressive situations. So how then do you say, with this, you now must be very careful what you do with it? Because the people that you talk about who are upset because they did not get iron sheets and Sumari and whatever the case may be, would be the same people who would take a handout and then give their vote, essentially sell their vote for 30 shekels of silver, whatever the case may be. Do you then, how then do you say this is how it ought to be?
It can change. It's an uphill task, but it can change because we have an opportunity. And that's what a campaign is. A campaign is a military term from back in the day, from the old ages where, a king or a general would mount a military campaign against another nation or another people, right? So we have an opportunity to look, strategize, and go to ground, campaign, and talk to wananchi, convince them, get them to reason with us and to understand our perspective. So yes, it is a double-edged sword. That as you're removing one person, as it cuts this way, it must come back and now put in somebody. So we need to consider, who are we putting in to replace this bad apple? We must consider that and not consider it emotionally, not consider it based on tribe and party and euphoria and slogan, one term, two term. Whatever, Linda this, Linda that. That really, it changes. Every electoral year, there's a new slogan. Last time it was Tanga Tanga, sijui tukieleweke. Sijui inawezekana. Sijui, there are so many. Saying this time is another. In 2032, there'll be others. But that cannot be the basis. So let's consider on merit. That's what I'm saying. Weka kila kiongozi kwa kichungi. Put every leader on that weighing scale. And judge them for who they are, what they've done, even if they have never been in governance. Backstory yao ni gani? What have they ever done, even in their own capacity to help this community, or this ward or this constituency?
Something has always troubled me, GNG, and perhaps it's something that ought to also be a conversation moving forward, where you as an MCA, you are within a constituency or constituencies, and with that, then one would simply just ask, what is your engagement with your member of parliament? Because that constituency has wards inside. And if you have a good working relationship with the member of parliament within which your ward is, you're able to reach the people easier and faster, because if the MP wins, you win as well. And you're helping each other to grow together. So what is the relationship between the county assembly and the members of parliament within these constituencies in Nairobi in the sole purpose of serving Mwananchi? Or are these centers of power completely removed from each other? And if that's the case, how is it developed? How is it stopping or curtailing the change that Nairobi really wants to see?
So it should be, okay, firstly, there is separation of power because these are different levels of government. So county is in a different level from national government. So the member of National Assembly, Senate, women rep, and the head of state are in national government. Then the member of county assembly and the governor are in the county government. So there's separation of power, but I believe that governance should be consultative.
Yes.
As we've had our head of state say many times, it should also be collaborative. But it's not. You know, and it's also subjective because there are MCAs who have good relationships with their members of parliament. I see some even doing joint meetings. For me, I've met my member of parliament twice.
Who's the MP?
The guy who said Peleka kwa Ruto. That is my my member of parliament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my! So, but I've met him 2 times. I met him. I think that one day, the day Sakado was being stoned, and then I met him one day at the coast. Over Soeri in the evening.
Okay.
So yeah. So 2 times in the this is my 5th year now in governance. So I've met him 2 times. So we don't collaborate. We don't work together. We don't have any engagement. We have no relationship, ideally.
So if there is...
So me, I do my own thing.
All right.
Everything that you see in Woodley, ninajipanga kivyangu. Yeah, afanye kazi yake.
How would it be a game changer, though, if there is that collaboration? Because, fine, we know there are 2 centers of power that are distinct to do different things. But if there is insecurity in your ward, in his constituency, it's a problem for both centers.
Yeah.
If it's a problem of lighting in your ward, in his constituency, it's a problem of lighting. That would call for collaboration from both centers to see how we are addressing this problem. And I'm just thinking...
In an ideal situation.
In ideal situation. Yes. What stops that from happening? I still don't get it.
I think personalities. Like, you see, like, after the 2022 elections, I think there were people who are polarized that, uyu ayuko kwa chama yangu, uyu ayuko kwa hii faction, yeah. Like, now, me, I was elected in Baba's bedroom as a UDA MCA.
Yes.
So I'm an outlier. You get what I'm saying? I'm not in the fold.
Yeah.
So I'm not in Azimio. Right? So I think I was discriminated for that reason. Apart from that, I feel I was not from his community. Politics is extremely tribal, especially even in Nairobi. It is tribal as much as we want to hide our heads in the sand, it is tribal. So I feel like I've been discriminated for that reason. But nevertheless, when there's a security challenge affecting national government, because national policing is national government responsibility, I call the OCS myself. I call the OCPD. I go to the regional commander's office. I've gone to meet the IG. I even have a WhatsApp group for operations, security operations in Woodley with the IG in that WhatsApp group. So I don't wait for my MP to help me out. I do my work myself. When lights are off, I engage Kenya Power. I engage Nairobi County. Right now, you saw me write to the Ministry of Energy. I engage the PS directly. We are buddies. I chat with him even on WhatsApp. He's the one who told me, okay, Doi Barua, he seconded it to Rerek, told me, this is approved, get this map done and procure immediately. And actually, the 200 lights from national government have been approved. They've been procured. The consignment has been checked by the ministry responsible, and I'm actually now waiting for the consignment to land in the port of Mombasa. What? So, me najipanga too, when Kenya Railways is coming to demolish people's businesses, houses, whatever, from CBD all the way to Talanta, I wrote to the head of state myself. I stopped it. We said we have to have an engagement. These people must be engaged. They must be given time. They must be given notice. And we must have a plan for them. Wataenda wapi. So I do my own engagement. You've seen me write to the head of state even about Kura, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, when they wanted to demolish traders' kiosks around my ward. I told them, no. And utaona na navuruga paka kwa rais, navuruga kwa mawaziri, PS, ikienda hivyo.
So while what you're doing is noble, and I
know it's not my job, but I must do it.
I agree. But over and beyond, Woodley Ward, because we have 1,440? 50
MCAs
in this country. There are many MCAs who cannot write to the CS or to the head of state.
True.
And exactly what you're doing, while it is noble, it is exactly what we do not want in this country, whereby my development as a Kenyan, regardless of where I live, is pegged on the goodness of either my MCA or my MP and their proximity to power. That is exactly the country that we do not want. Because we would want, in my opinion, a country whereby somebody who is in, is it called Hagdera, some place in Wajir or wherever, Marsabit, equally enjoys the same services, because public policy, public good was meant to be equitably distributed according to our constitution. They enjoy all the goods and services they are meant to from the administration, be it national government or county government. That is a country that I would want us to see. I would want to see us create for ourselves, because today, you keep hearing, and you see the era for alliances is coming up. People are saying I'm in broad-based because the number of goodies we have received since we joined broad-based, we have never seen them in this country. It is true, but it is very sad because that is what now blinds the voter to start beginning. If I am not aligned with the people who are seemingly in office or in control of our resources, because the taxes are not just from Woodley. The taxes are from across the country. That if we are not close to these people, we are not going to have development. That is not true. The Constitution says clearly equitable distribution of resources. That's why you have a devolved government, so that the MCAs, even when you go for the MCA caucus, I saw you guys, I think it was the year before last, at KICC, you are protesting when the CS came and you said, no, we want the president to come because we have issues to raise.
That he must unlock.
He must. So those are the things we want to see. You are there. I remember. So how do we, because that bridges the trust deficit. That is what now civic education 101 is all about. The voter knowing that it does not depend on the goodness or the smartness of the MCA or the MP. It should entirely depend on the law.
Correct. So you are right. In theory, that's how it should work. And to achieve this, in theory, we need now to strengthen our institutions such that roads are built regardless of whether the governor wants them to be built or not. Because what we're having as a challenge here is, and it's a gray area, from an administrative perspective, is that if the governor does not want to build roads in Woodley or in Nairobi's 85 wards, except CBD, CBD in the seat of government, government square. That's why you see all the cabro, the lights, some nice lights have been installed there. Hey,
medieval lights.
But when you vuka government square, you get downtown Kidogo Pale Marikiti. It's another city, man. You will not believe the madness there. So. We are for me, I'm struggling. I even did a motion on this matter that passed, I think, 1 week or 2 weeks ago, where we're saying all pending bills must be paid, regardless of whether this MCA, whose ward has a pending bill, is bending the knee in the office of the governor, saying allegiance, skuzote, or not, and I work to send it to work. So that's what we want, because the PFM Act talks about a predictable payment system, a transparent payment system. In basic accounting, there's FIFO, first in, first out, meaning the first invoice raised is the first one that should be paid. But currently it's not, because there's so much human intervention. So the question I think you're asking is, how do we get out of that? I don't know how we need to do, but we need to consult more from a legal perspective and lock it down in law such that we deny the county executive the power to circumvent. So in my motion, we've given the county executive 90 days to give us a payment plan and to tell us the order in which this is going to work and why, the criteria. Like, how do you decide to pay this warrior but not this Luo? Because that's what's happening in Nairobi. The only people being paid in Nairobi County are Somalis. And I'm not tribal or divisive. It's the truth. I have Somali friends who do business with Nairobi County. One was paid 21.9 million, another one was paid 10 million in 1 week. Yet we have others from other African tribes who are not being paid. Why? I'm asking very deliberate questions because I have facts. It cannot be that when you look at an entire work plan, it is businesses owned by a certain community that are being paid. The wrong stuff. That's not how it should be working as well.
Now,
so how do we get this to be corrected? Because the power currently, as is, is in the hands of the CFO. That's the chief officer, the officer in charge of finance, and the office of the governor. And then the governor has his guys, his cronies now in the Riverside office, who now decide, haya, sasa hapa weka ya huyu, toa ya hii.
So how does what I'm hearing you say, and if you
Wild
were
West.
to be akin to that, this seems to ferment the trust deficit. Then
Yes.
it to me it just makes it worse, because it shouldn't have to be that Davidson has to call his pals in a supermarket to give food, or that because you are able to chat with a PS on WhatsApp, then that's how you're able to get things done, or that you have to pray and hope that today's a good day and perhaps somebody will smile on you and get something done. No, that there's policy, there are systems, there is a government administration,
But
that
it doesn't-
regardless of what political party that you're in, you should be able to plug in. It shouldn't be. So what does it do? And it seems like a very difficult question to be able to answer. But how do you restore, not even restore, how do you establish faith in people who are saying, okay, either I want to vote or I want to be part of this? Whereby Davidson is telling us this morning that if you don't have the connection with somebody, then you might not get anything done.
Well, the truth is that Nairobi County, if we start there, before we even go to Kenya, is not functioning. It's dysfunctional. And it's dysfunctional by design. When I was in my first 1-2 years, I was very, very passionate on the assembly and trying to make things right. In fact, there's a time where I was debating on the floor and saying that we need to have many more officers given payment rights, because right now only one officer can pay the CFO. So if the CFO is not around, no one is paid. Just imagine, they've denied officers' rights. And that's why I'm saying it's community-based. So to get it to work, firstly, the people you need to elect good people. You can't avoid this. I know our colleague here is saying that it should work automatically. That is in a well-functional system. But where there is dysfunction, first, before you sort it out, you must have good people in office. Because those people now are the ones who make the decisions that, okay, we're going to let these rights be operated as they should, that payment should be structured, first in, first out, etc., and other financing and accounting policies should be put in place, verification, usilipe hewa. You know, it's even easier to pay a hewa where money changes hands, that you can be paid, you should now be paid without giving 10% commission in the Riverside office, which is, that's how things are operating
Oh,
today.
come on, Davidson.
Oh, my goodness, no. NDU, let me tell you, is what's happening. Unajua saa zingine nyinyi mnaona tunapeana hadithi. Si hadithi, ni ukweli. If you don't believe me, find one supplier who you know has supplied. You put it out on your social media right now. Say, if you have a pending bill in Nairobi County, send us a tweet or a comment on our nini. See how many people comment and ask them why they have not been paid. They'll tell you the reasons. Since we passed that motion, I have guys looking for me who I don't even know. They're like, akiwe ya nani hatujawai pata mtu wa kututetea. Sijui a guy had a pending bill from 2022. Paka saya jai lipwa, from others from NMS, others from sijui which year. It's a reality. So it's a dysfunctional system. And do you know why? One of my leaders called me aside once, and I was saying this thing, we need to get this payment thing right, because I fought for it for long. I've not begun this fight this year. The last time our World Development Program was paid in Woodley was in 2023, so I've championed. And I'm not the only MCA, by the way. Even those perceived to be friends of the governor, wanaumia labda kuniliko. So, but what I wanted to say is that it is not working by design. City Hall is dysfunctional by design. That's why, because by that dysfunction, there are people benefiting. Choose. For example, you apply for a building permit. You don't get it on time. So you go and ask for help. Unaweza nisaidia kusukuma hii approval ya kubalike. So as you are asking for help, iko mtu anasema mimi naweza kusaidia, nipe hii. That's how a guy had 65 million shillings cash in the house in a suitcase. And there's a framed picture there like Spice FM there. God did it. That's how. So in this dysfunction, higher, can you help me pay my pending bill? Yes. Give me 10%. No, you don't want to agree with me, but it's what's happening. It's actually raised even to 20. For legal fees, it is 50%. Don't you remember Donald Kip Korir, the lawyer, saying the governor's office has demanded a kickback? You remember that tweet?
Yep.
That's one example on public record. And they are if you want me to bring for you people and affidavits, I'm ready to bring any day. That's why I say these things publicly, because nobody can challenge.
DNG,
I can display them.
DNG, with everything that is happening at the county as we speak and the poor leadership there is, the person who's suffering the most is Wananchi. You get? Because if it's building permit and someone does not follow code, when the building tumbles down, it is Kenyans. When there is illegal procurement when it comes to garbage collections, it is Kenyans who are suffering whenever it rains. Now, with all this that is happening where pending bills are not paid, that means Wananchi of Nairobi who've supplied are not getting the money they need. Therefore, people are impoverished by the system there is. How do we localize this conversation? Like when you go to Woodley, you sit down with the people and explain as to why you are against the governor. There is need for people to vote in good people. Are we having this conversation at the grassroots, at the ward level? We must see this change.
We must. So what I do personally, I attend public participation exercises organized by Nairobi County Executive and also Nairobi County Assembly. 1. 2, I have communication platforms with my registered voters, 30,000 of them. I engage them on WhatsApp. I have several WhatsApp groups, 51 of them. 51 that I engage with every single day and night, where I communicate with them. They know what I'm pushing for and why. Everything I do in Bunge, if it's like a motion, see, there's the paper, order business request for statement. I put it there under a narrative, and I take that video that is from the floor of the assembly. I cut it, I download it from YouTube. I cut it myself, and I put it there so that Wananchi are with me through this journey. They know exactly what is going on. When a road stalls in Woodley, it's me they ask. Even if the governor has not paid, MCN ndio anabeba hiyo msalaba. So I must tell my people, this road has stalled because this payment has not been paid to this contractor. Here's the interim payment certificate he has raised. This is the value of the payment. Tuende tusukume governor. The people of Woodley and Kibra even did maandamano called Occupy Woodley. The time the governor had not paid the stadium contractor. They demolished even the fence. And they said, tunataka kiwanja yetu. He paid. Juzi, they threatened to occupy the second time, he paid. 21 mic.
Right.
So when I say he has paid, I have evidence.
Now, moving forward, as we come to the top of the hour.
And the last thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
About this non-payment of contractors. You see, the impact, as you said, is the people feeling the brunt are Wananchi. Kenyans, Nairobians who've delivered services, who've picked up the trash, or who have, done something for us, or who have supplied commodities, be it medicines, be it cotton wool, whatever it is, desks. It is guys who've done construction, Mjengo, they've taken loans. So now what is happening, because these people have not been paid for so long, the banks charge your if you took a loan, they charge your property.
Yes.
If you are taking a loan against a piece of land, car, house, etc., they charge it. Guys are going through litigation, others are going through auctioneering, others are having Shylocks coming to their houses, man. And Shylocks don't come in peace. They come with vijana, and they take everything, even your innerwear, they take, collect, and go with it. There's documented cases of depression and even suicide, where suppliers of Nairobi County have killed themselves. Like, you've given up on life. Just imagine, you can't pay your rent. You can't pay your SHA. You can't take your child to hospital. You can't put food on the table. You have zero. Governor and his officers are asking for 10%, 20%, which you don't have because you sunk all the money into this project, plus interest accruing in the bank. So you give up on life and you kill yourself. That's the level of issues we have in this city, and we must get it right.
Well, in about 40 weeks, we're going to have a very major public participation activity or event, and that is the party primaries, the nomination of aspirants to candidates. That will be a great opportunity for Kenyans to decide, as you're saying, getting the right people in office. Because today, when you want to hire a painter, for example, you want to know the skill sets they have, the work they've done. Can they work with the brush and the color balancing and all that? But rarely do we take time to match the skill sets required for certain elective positions, the way you are saying. An MCA needs to know this is your work. It's not about bursary funds and all this other stuff. So as we go toward that public participation, as we gear up the party primaries in less than 40 weeks, you think Kenya is ready to get the right people in the office and they're going to reject the money bags?
I think Kenya is ready. There's one thing I like about what we've seen in the Olkalau by-election. Can I tell you what it is? The people of Olkalau have shown us that they will take the money. All of it. And they will make the right choice.
That's a good note. That's a good note even to leave it.
And
I think so.
I don't explain further.
Yeah, you'll make the right choice.
You're
That's
good
a
there.
good note. Yes.
Thank you for being here this morning. Davidson Ngibuini, DNG, has been here with us this morning and, saying there are things that just must be. No emotions, no flowers, just do it and do it right. Thank you for joining us in the Situation Room this morning. We remember when you wanted to become MCA, and now that you are, let's see what the future holds. But then, there's the things that you can continue, not just saying, but doing. Asante sana. Good morning. It's 9 a.m. Rather, 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.